Coming up, who would have thought that a 60s soul song could be remade into a new wave synth-pop classic so perfectly, so seamlessly in the 80s? I mean, it was so good that this legendary songwriter told this 80s band that theirs was his favorite version, even better than the original. Up next, the singer of this 80s remake tells us how, or why, he chose to rekindle this song and how it came out at the perfect time. Coming up on Professor of Rock, brought to you by Zenni Eyewear. Hey music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. Make sure to join our community right below by clicking on the red button, the subscribe button, and click the bell to make sure that you always know when our new interviews come out. We have some great stuff coming out. Also, check us out on Patreon. We have a new show there. In the 80s, plenty of remakes of 60s hits ruled the charts. I mean, Tommy James and the Shondells, he alone saw 3 of his songs remade and hit the upper reaches of the Billboard charts. There was Crimson and Clover by Joan Jett. There's Mony Mony by Billy Idol, and I Think We're Alone Now by Tiffany, both of which we've covered with Tommy. There was You Keep Me Hanging On, that was #1 for Kim Wilde. That was a remake of the Supremes' original #1. Phil Collins did it with You Can't Hurry Love, another #1 by the Supremes. So it would make sense for someone to remake a Burt Bacharach and Hal David composition. While Naked Eyes did a synth-pop version of the Dionne Warwick 60s hit, Always Something There to Remind Me. Did it so perfectly. Now, this song was also a hit for Sandy Shaw back in the day as well. We'll never be free. You'll always be a part of me. Singer Pete Byrne and keyboardist Rob Fisher, who would later form Climby Fisher and write for other major artists, were the duo behind Naked Eyes. Their remake of Always Something There to Remind Me, that went to the top 10 in America in the summer of 1983, almost 40 years ago. That's crazy. Their approach and their reinterpretation of the original song transformed the song in a really mesmerizing and phenomenal way. I mean, the energy of the synths with those beautiful ringing bells are just electrifying to the ears. Watching the video now with a young Pete Byrne, she's strangely reminiscent of the Killer's Brandon Flowers, I think. Naked Eyes had another hit that's become a classic, the wonderful Promises, Promises. I'll have to cover that one down the road. I asked him about that one as well. I remember the first time I heard Always Something There to Remind Me. It was one of those heart-sick love songs that just got you through. I put it on just about every single mixtape that I meticulously curated for many crushes and girlfriends. Girls that didn't even know I was alive. You know, I was fortunate to sit down with lead singer Pete Byrne of Naked Eyes and get the story of this song. So going into this interview, I want to thank our sponsor, Zenni Eyewear, that makes this show possible. If you are in the market for new glasses or sunglasses, I'm telling you, Zenni.com is the only place to go. Check out all their new styles, and you can get over 1,100 pairs of sunglasses or glasses for under $7. $6.95 to be exact. Go to Zenni.com today to check it out. What made you choose Always Something There?
We'd been recording our own songs in various forms. We did obviously songwriting demos and then what we call pre-demos where we put a little production into it. And then we were in the studio in Bristol. We were recording the real demos. And so we've been doing our own stuff for a while, our own songs, and we knew them inside out. So we just thought we'd record a cover, something that somebody else had written. And, you know, there were a number of songs that we thought we might do, but fortunately, Always Something There to Remind Me was the one we did.
How can I forget you, girl?
And one of the pivotal songs and videos of the MTV generation.
Yeah.
Went to #8 in America,
Right.
very big hit.
There is always something there to remind me.
You guys wanted to record at Abbey Road.
Well, it was one of the main things in the meeting with EMI. I said, well, if we sign with you, I really want to record at Abbey Road, because it was such a, an iconic studio and obviously one of the best in the world. So, and they said, fine. So we did, and and it was an amazing experience.
Yeah.
We were in there for probably about 6 months. The first 3 or 4 of which we were in there 24/7. So we were living in a hotel around the corner, but in the studio all day. It was wonderful.
You kind of got to feel that energy of all
Absolutely.
the great bands that are recorded there.
Yeah, we were in Studio 3, which is the Pink Floyd, where Floyd recorded all their great albums.
Yeah.
But the original Beatles studio, Studio 2, was still there. They kept it with the old desk with the huge knobs and the 2-track, I think it was, that they originally had in there. So
Rock and roll history,
awesome,
man.
Yeah.
I remember reading somewhere back in the day that they had a party there and Paul McCartney was there.
That's right, yeah.
Tell me about that.
Well, it was just one of the, we were just there all the time. We were working every day, and somebody said, there's a big party tonight downstairs. And it was for Billy Fury, who was a big singer in the 50s and 60s in England. And so we went to the party, and it was, Paul was there, and Linda, and lots of other, I mean, just about everybody that had anything to do with EMI was there. There were Brotherhood of Man, and actually Slade were there. Well, they had nothing to do with EMI, but they were just there, enjoying the facilities. Yeah, it was fun. It was great. And it was that night, actually, that we did a vocal on Always Something that night. Well, I say that night, it was probably around 2 or 3 in the morning, but, it was after that party.
Well, good karma from Paul McCartney,
Yeah, and we went into Abbey Road and we recorded 5 songs, Always Something being one of them.
You recorded the vocal in one take.
Well, it was that night. It was after the party, and not really in one take. But what we did in those days, it's not like it is now, where you can comp 20 vocals and get a perfect take. You recorded it up to a point, and if there was a mistake, then you just go back and drop in.
Right.
And so it was done probably in a couple of hours, but like that, dropping in and fixing things. But unusually for me, it only has 1 vocal on it. There are no harmonies and no tracking or anything. It's just the one voice.
I walk along the city streets you used to walk along.
Burt Bacharach has always said that that's one of his favorite versions of this song.
So I understand, yeah, it's quite a compliment, because he's written some of the greatest songs of all time, and the greatest artists have covered them.
Okay, let's go. Same place. 237, 2, 1, and.
He has to be among the greatest, all the popular composers of all time. Just, his work speaks for itself. It's just so many great songs. His work with Howard David, of course, who co-wrote Always Something, is fantastic. Just incredible. I mean, so many big hit records and great productions.
Absolutely.
And, I'm a big fan of his. Another song of his was Anyone Who Had a Heart, which was a big hit for Cilla Black.
Anyone who ever dreamed could look at me.
So that was considered, but we ultimately decided on Always Something.
Do you remember when you first heard your song on the radio?
I can't quite remember that, no. I can remember hearing earlier things when we were just forming, and we'd do an interview, and they'd play our stuff from the local radio station. And I remember being in a sweet shop in Bath, and one of our songs coming on. That was quite something.
I always love to get the reaction from the artist about the first time.
Yeah, I don't remember the first time I heard Always Something There to Remind Me. I think I may have seen it on MTV. I think that was probably the first time I saw it in public, so to speak.
Shadows fall, I pass a small cafe where we would dance at night.
What about recording the video? Because that was another iconic video from the early days of MTV.
Right.
Tell me about that experience. Were you involved in the treatment?
You could say that. It was a strange experience, because we met the director and the producer the night before we shot it, and we were still talking about things, And it was quite an eye-opener for us because we had no idea what it was going to be like. And what it was on set at 4 a.m. and working till midnight. Just, you know, a lot of the street shots done early in the day, and then we moved to the interiors. So it was quite a performance, actually.
Yeah.
Well, how can I forget you, girl?
I remember hearing that as a kid and just going, because the very first part, the na na na, and it really just knocks you out, man. Hits you right in the face from the start, and just going, this is a cool song.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Well, the sound of that was amazing because we used so many different things to make that happen. The tubular bells were actual tubular bells in Abbey Road that we used, and the pianos and everything there. So it was, it was worked out well.
Always something there to remind me.
I want to start out at the very beginning. For you, what was it going back as a young child, whether it was a song that you heard, an album that you heard, something you saw on television that kicked open the door to your mind and made you want to pursue music?
Well, it was in the early 60s, obviously. It was the greats, the Beatles, the Stones, the Kinks, all those great English bands. And occasionally there'd be hit records, a lot of girl singers in those days, Dusty Springfield, Cilla Black, Sandy Shaw. I mean, this is in England, and Dionne Warwick was well known too, but Sandy Shaw is always something there to remind me it was really a great record.
Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. When shadows fall.
And was #1, I think, for 6 weeks or something. So it was massive. You know, like I say, there were a lot of these girl singers who were just great, Dusty and Cilla.
Love is kind of crazy with a smoky little boy like you.
So you started out, you were from Bath, England. Started out with the band. Right?
Yeah.
With Rob Fisher. Tell me about meeting Rob and how that all came together.
Well, Rob and I both had bands in Bath, which broke up around the same time. And Rob was having a discussion with the girl singer from his band on the bridge in Bath, and I just happened to be coming across, and I sort of got involved in trying to placate it and make it work for them. And it was obviously, it was over for him and his band, and my band had broken up recently. The guitarist and bass player had come to Los Angeles, actually. So Rob and I just went to the pub and, you know, just decided we'd had enough of bands. We would become songwriters primarily and start from that point of view. And that's what happened. We just got together and started writing songs. Every day I'd go to his house and we would, you know, work for 3 or 4 hours. And that's what happened.
Also, future members of Tears for Fears were in that band, Roland Orzabal and Kurt Smith.
Yeah. Initially, what happened was our publishers, we were very lucky. We had a lot of interest in our songs, and we signed a publishing deal very early on. And they suggested that we put a band together and go out and play, because we were a synth duo, and it was very difficult to translate that live. So they suggested we put a band together, and I had seen Kurt play in a band in Bath, and also a guitarist called Neil Taylor, who was a phenomenal young guitarist. He still is, actually. Well, not so young, but he's still phenomenal. And so I wanted those guys to join us, and my friend Manny Elias, who I'd known for a few years, and you know, we hung out a lot together. So I got these guys together, formed a band, and we played all around the West Country and in England, in Bath, in Bristol, and all seemed to be going well. And then Neil decided he wanted to pursue his own band. Kurt suggested we ask Roland. We did. Roland joined us, and we carried on. We did some TV and some, you know, various things. But it, you know, it became obvious that, you know, Roland had his own ideas and wanted to pursue his own thing. And so that's what we did. We broke up, and, you know, Rob and I called ourselves Naked Eyes. Kurt, Roland, and Manny called themselves Tears for Fears. And off we went.
Well, tell me about Naked Eyes, because the way that you came up with the name, you know, I remember reading somewhere long, long ago as a child that was a saying, the naked eye. And how did that come about?
Well, we were still calling ourselves Neon when we signed our record deal with EMI, and they weren't very impressed with the name Neon, and suggested that we come up with something more interesting. And so that's basically how it happened. We were constantly looking for a new name for ourselves, and it just came to me one day. I was just thinking, oh, well, that's a good one, because Naked Eyes. At that point, I'd never heard it used that way. It's always the naked eye. So it seemed there were two of us, which is a bit corny, but
No, that's cool. It's a cool story.
I thought it was pretty cool.
The 60s and the 70s and the 80s,
Right.
that 3 decades, you take them together, and it's just some of the greatest songs ever, happened during that period.
Yeah.
So Tears for Fears, what did you think about them, their stuff?
Well, their first album I thought was unbelievable. I loved
Hurting.
Hurting, Pal Shadow, Mad World. Really amazing stuff, and sort of more edgy. And of course, they became more and more mainstream in the Songs in the Big Chair. But incredibly popular, of course, and great records, great pop records. But I particularly like their early stuff.
The Hurting is a great album.
Yeah.
Looking back now, that you've had a chance to kind of look at what your legacy has been, and all the concerts and the music that you've written and all the things you've done. For your both lives, your musical life and your private life put together, what's been your greatest accomplishment, do you feel?
Getting my 2 children through college, I think, is probably the most amazing thing. Family, I suppose.
Oh, that's great.
Having a strong family, beautiful children. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure to
Real
sit
pleasure.
down and talk to you about the songs of my youth.
Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Leave us a comment about Naked Eyes and this classic 80s love song below. What's your favorite version? Do you like the 60s version or, of course, the 80s version? What are your memories connected to it? And tell us about any mixtapes that you used to put together. I'd love to have a conversation about that. If you like our content, we do invite you to subscribe below. And don't forget to check out our new merch and our Patreon. We've got a new show there. Until next time, 3 chords and the truth, my friends.